Hello, I am Tom Chick, and I'd like to show you what's going on at my dining room table today, April 6th, Monday, 2020. Let me show you for one last day a little bit of aftermath. This is going to be the last day we look at it. If you watch just one aftermath video, it should be this one, because what I want to show you today kind of embodies everything that is right about aftermath and everything that is wrong about it. And it's why I'm so ambivalent about this game. So let's look at aftermath for one final day, and then tomorrow let's get something else out on the table. So come on over here to my dining room table with me. All right, I am about actually, I don't even need to say about. I am 6 missions, maybe 7, into a campaign of Aftermath. At this point, part of what has happened is that I've gotten pretty comfortable with the basic card play that uses this small deck of cards. Well, it's larger than this. Here's my discard pile. Some of the characters have cards. So therefore, as I'm traveling around, and let me show you the travel map. Starting up here for this particular mission, Assault on Pigeon Hole, we had to go 1, 2, I think I actually went through North Bend, 3, 4, 5. We had to cross 5 maps, and each map is a separate kind of encounter. As you can see down here. The idea being that as I've worked my way across here, I've done various encounters that involve things like, hey, just running across the street, sneaking past sentries, having a battle. It all moves pretty quickly, and it's all fairly straightforward. What tends to happen on a map is you enter at this icon, and then you exit at one of these icons. Most maps are just a matter of crossing the map, dealing with whatever obstacles are on the way. So here we are, 7 missions into a campaign, and I have run into what is supposed to be epic set piece, and I want to show you how it's supposed to unfold, but then I want to tell you the reasons that it might not work that way, and how the folks who made this game kind of fell down on the job in terms of presenting and walking players through this epic set piece. So you arrive at Pigeon Hole, and that's just your mission. Your mission, by the way, tells you have to bring 2 food to the pigeons. You have to prevent the junkers, and you don't know what that is, from taking over the fountain, and then you have to learn how the magic fountain works. Now that's a paragraph. Is it flavor text? Probably not, because flavor text tends to be italics, but you don't know what a lot of that is. You don't know what a magic fountain is. You don't know what a junker is. Actually, do you yet know what a junker is? No, you know what scrappers are. Yeah, there's no card for junkers. I think some of the flavor text has referenced them. But all you know is that I need to bring 2 food to these pigeons. That's basically, as far as gameplay mechanics, what you have arrived here to do. So the setup has you put your little mice, your 2 mice, your hamster, and your guinea pig. At this point, it tells you to introduce a new concept called escorting, and to put these neutral meekers are what mice call each other when they're not fighting, right here. And the escorting rule basically gives you rules for moving them around with your characters, as well as an incentive to move them around with your characters. Namely, if you're escorting these characters, they give you a bonus to fighting. They can also absorb damage for you. But you're not told why you may or may not want to move them around. You're not told, are these guys part of my objective? So instead, here's a new system. Here is a way to play with that system. You also are told, hey, put these mean scorpions right here. And you're given flavor text saying, hey, the scorpions are attacking these guys, help them. I mean, what you've got to do is cross over to the exit anyway, so you're going to be passing through here. Now, as you pass through these eyeballs, these reference text on that map's information sheet. So one of the things you've learned is that these eyeballs are scripting triggers. So I see one right here, And if you remember the dashed white lines, you can cross those. You cannot cross a solid white line. It doesn't block line of sight, but you can't go across it. These colored lines, here's red, it's going to require a strength check. And actually, once you enter here, this text tells you, hey, these guys have set up a makeshift defense. So it's hard for you to get in here, but once you do, you realize why it's hard for you to get in here. The artwork kind of communicates that. And this is blue. You have to make for whatever reason, it takes defense to get through water. You have to make a defense check to get through here. You have to play defense cards. Once you do that, you can then leave the map. But you might notice, hey, look, there's an eyeball up there. Maybe there is some scripting there that I should go investigate. Because if there's one thing I've learned so far, it's that if you don't hit some of these eyeballs in a map, you kind of might break things. A classic example is a mission where I dropped into a food truck. You guys saw the setup for that. I got the food out of there and I left and went back to the colony. But because I didn't hit every eyeball in the food truck, I apparently missed a reference to something significant that was then assumed in the colony debriefing, in the intermission text. It was assumed I had seen the text, that I'd gone to that space and triggered that event and read that text. I hadn't. It was out of the way. It was optional. I didn't read it, so I got back to the colony, and this significant event, that was news to me. I didn't know anything about it, and it was referenced as if it had happened on the last mission. But guess what? It didn't. So when you get to this map, you might think, hey, I should check out this eyeball. But I want you to notice, because I don't think a map has done this before. Remember the white lines you cannot cross. There is a blue line that implies it's water, and you're going to have to use the defense cards to cross water, but it's bordered by a solid white line. Now, that clearly means I can't go up there, period. If there's a scavenging token here, a salvage token, which there's actually not because I've exhausted all of them, I can't go get it. Although, actually, to be fair, my little drone could go pick it up. But normally you wouldn't be able to get up there to pick up the salvage token or to trigger this eyeball's text. So what will generally happen, at least what's supposed to happen, is you fight through these scorpions. All right, they're dead. You then get over here to the exit. There's no further information about these little guys. Maybe you got them killed, maybe you didn't. They're just removed from the map when you exit. And you're then told, go to page 25. Okay? I've done that plenty of times. I've hit the exit on a map and it's referenced me to another page where there's another map. So let's go to page 25 and see what would happen. Now, down here on page 25, there's a whole new map and a whole new setup. You are told, and by the way, I haven't played this yet, but what I did was, because I'd screwed up the triggering before, I wanted to make sure I didn't break it here, because I could tell this was a multi-stage set piece that was introducing this idea of escorting. I know it was going to introduce a significant character. So I went ahead and read through all the scripting and then backed up and set it up. And I mean, some folks might think that's a spoiler, and actually I guess it is if the idea is that you want to discover the story beats, but I'm more concerned at this point with not breaking the game, and I think there's way too much vagueness and missing information for me to count on the story. And so here's an example of that I want to show you. So you've exited the fountain. You're told that your guys enter right here. You are also told that there are various mice standing around. They're not hostile to you yet, but because of the way this game works, the more you dilly-dally, the more likely it is that neutral characters will turn hostile and fight you. So you've been conditioned, okay, hurry up and get stuff done before these guys turn hostile. Although the text does imply that where this star is, there's a leader. And this is a character who's introduced in the setup. And it's implied that the leader is someone you can go talk to. So here are two things that can happen on this map. The first thing is, here's an eyeball. You come over here, and here is where you discover this is where you accomplish the stage of learn how the magic fountain works. on your mission goal. Because if you go here, it says Messiah, one of your characters says, oh, I know how to, I can puzzle through these plans. And you accumulate an instinct check over several turns with several characters participating. It's called a group check. Once you do that, the text then says, okay, you've accomplished 1 out of 3 objectives for this mission. Good. And you will note, again, the lines on the maps give each map a kind of a flow. If you come over here, you're crossing through this blue line, which is going to require blue cards. You come over here and you'll notice it's cut off. You can't go up through here. So this is a little dead end. And by the way, if you don't come over here, you're not going to accomplish everything. So you need to go over here and look at this, and that's where you discover one of the 3 goals. Furthermore, if you work your way up here, I'm just going to move the mice out of the way. And remember, it's super important to pay attention to these lines and the flow of the map, because you can infer a lot from the flow of the map about what you're supposed to do. So if you work your way up here, you can't go through here, you have to come through here, you can't cross here, you have to come through here, can't cross out of there, you have to come up here, this is a dead end. If you want, you can come up here towards this exit. You are standing on an exit, and the text, by the way, at this point tells you different characters can exit from different exits. Previously, the rules have been very specific about everybody has to leave through the same exit. Here, you're introduced to the concept, and you would know it from reading the exit text when you arrive. You're introduced to the concept that some people can leave through B, some people can leave through A. So you know that if you come up here, some characters can leave here. But you also know, hey, here's a leader. So if you make an agility check, if you spend agility to get here, you can talk to this leader mouse. And that is clearly something, I mean, that's obvious. There's going to be some script in there. So you arrive, you talk to the leader mouse, and if you make a communication check, I think, you persuade that leader mouse to join you. And you then unlock the concept of alliances in this game, which is the victory condition for one of the mice, is he needs alliances with 2 or more factions. So here is a faction. And at this point you know, okay, now I can leave the map here and here, and the text tells you, if you leave through B, you go to the upper level of the fountain. Now, you could tell, and again, it's important to look at the lines on the map because you can infer things about the scripting. If you recall, and maybe you don't, maybe it's been a while since you played that mission, but on that previous map that we're going to return to through these exits, that closed off area was the top of the fountain. It's not called that, but clearly in the artwork you can see that's the top of the fountain. Do you remember that there's an eyeball there with a little scripting number to reference text? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So what might happen is everybody leaves through here, and that's fine, that can totally happen. Everybody goes back to that fountain map, and now you are told to set up a different scenario from when you arrived. And let me jump back to that real quick to just again remind you, maybe nobody exited up here. There's no requirement that that happen. So we come back to this page, and whoever exited through A arrives down here. Whoever exited through B, and it's stipulated that character must have a ranged weapon, now arrives here and triggers off this number 2. Now, if you didn't send anybody up there, you're not going to trigger off that eyeball, which may be fine. You don't trigger it off. When you do arrive, however, based on the scripting, it's going to tell you to set up an encounter where you meet, which one of the guys is it? Is it this guy? This can't be right. Anyway, you're going to meet a new boss character, and you're going to meet, you're going to have a tough fight. And that tough fight now is fought with you on this side and them arriving here. It's kind of a standoff. It's a road warrior situation. You're defending this resource against these marauders who've arrived. So maybe you fight the battle and you are then told, okay, now you have done one of the 3 objectives that you needed to do for the mission. Because if we recall, one objective, bring the pigeons food. The other, learn how the fountain works. The other, prevent the junkers from taking over the fountain. Good, you've done 2 of those things. Where's the third one? You don't know. Are you just going to run around and try exits? Do you remember, if you go back, that you can exit through the other exit to get up here? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you don't, you're just going to be running around here, filling up the threat track, having encounters, fighting battle. Actually, you don't have an encounter here. You will instead fill up the threat track and add time to the time clock, and therefore bad things happen at your colony. But if you don't exit that last map through here, you will not arrive here, and you will not have the option to give the pigeons your food. And you will therefore never do all three objectives and never be told to reference the success result for your mission. You will be running around. You won't even end the mission, by the way. You might as well just walk back to camp. So ideally, if you are very careful about scripting, if you are curious about the eyeballs, this will unfold as a big epic fight. You arrive here, you save some mice. The mice then bring you to their leader underneath the fountain, where the fountain machinery is. You then figure out that machinery. You then either persuade the leader to join you, or the leader doesn't join you, and when you emerge from the fountain, these junkers, these mean rats, and I think they've even got vehicles. Yeah, I imagine driving is going to be introduced here. They're in vehicles. So you then have a standoff against them out here. And maybe you've got that leader mouse joining you in this combat. You know, maybe it's you here with all of these little meeklings. And maybe there's this big epic battle like this. Oh, and I think maybe this guy might even be involved. And look at that, that's huge, that's epic. That's a really cool set piece. And there could be cool discoveries there, but it's based on brittle scripting that, because the rules in this game are poorly organized and poorly communicated, and similarly, the scripting, I feel, is poorly organized and poorly communicated. The scripting for this could have been set up more clearly to make it obvious to the player to look out for certain things, and to make it more clear to the player what he or she is supposed to do. Instead, it resolves on you hitting certain triggers that are easily missed. And I know this from experience because it's happened to me in previous missions. So what should be discovering this really cool epic battle is instead, did you read the rules closely enough and infer things that were not clearly communicated? If so, congratulations, you had this great encounter. If not, you had a frustrating time figuring out rules, looking things up, and maybe you never even ran into this. Maybe you got frustrated and quit. Maybe you walked back to base. And then all the cool stuff that was supposed to happen on this page didn't happen. So I really like what this game is attempting, and I wish that it had another pass, that it had been better developed. This is the third game in a series. They've been doing this long enough at Plaid Hat. They should know better. There's no excuse for the brittle scripting and the poorly communicated rules in this game. Now, what I'm going to do, because I do like enough what they're getting at, I'm going to go ahead and play this. I understand the scripting. I want to see how it plays out. I do like enough the basic card play. So I'm going to play it, and tomorrow I'm going to tell you how it goes. I'm going to put everything here, back to the setup. I'm going to fight these scorpions. I'm going to go down in the fountain. I'm going to see about winning the mice over, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to fight all these guys and see what happens. And then that will be, for the time being, that's it for me in Aftermath right now. And then the day after, we're going to set something else up on the table. So join me tomorrow. Let's see how this turns out. Wish me luck. And I will see everyone tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I feel like it sounds a little glib and silly when I say be safe and stay healthy, but I do mean that. And we're all having to make difficult decisions about what staying safe and being healthy means. I am, and I know you are. So when I say that, stay safe, be healthy, I mean that. I think it's something that we get used to saying to each other, but think about what it means. And I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Oh, shoot a monkey. Ugh.